Night.
Tonight, one of the most high-profile Mormons in the country, Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney, is all but accusing the Reverend Al Sharpton of religious bigotry. It is all because of a remark Sharpton made this week during a debate over atheism with author Christopher Hitchens. They were arguing about the civil rights movement and what Hitchens sees as the inexcusable use of religion to justify slavery and separation of the races. That's when Hitchens brought up Romney.
Just to give a contemporary example, one of the current candidates for the Republican nomination is a member of a church, the so-called Mormon Church of Latter-day Saints, that until 1965 had it as an article of faith that the Bible separates the sons of Ham and makes them lesser.
The reference to sons of Ham is commonly accepted as a term for black people. Well, Sharpton responded by arguing that since Martin Luther King led the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the civil rights movement was, in Sharpton's words, God-based. But he didn't stop there.
Let's not reinvent Dr. King any more than we try to reduce God to some denominational convention. And as for the one Mormon running for office, those that really believe in God will defeat him anyway. So don't worry about that. That's a temporary situation.
Romney's campaign is calling Sharpton's remark disheartening, disappointing, and appalling. So what did the Reverend really mean? Well, he joins us here exclusively to explain. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I want to start off by having you listen to what candidate Mitt Romney had to say about what you had to say in this debate.
His comment was a bigoted comment. It shows that bigotry still exists in some corners, and I thought it was a most unfortunate comment to make.
All right, so obviously Mr. Romney thinks you were making negative comments about his religion. Were you saying that Mormons weren't real Christians?
No, what I was responding to, as interesting, he did not attack Mr. Hitchens, who said this. That Mr. Hitchens had said that the Mormons had in fact had in their articles of faith that blacks were not to be part of an inclusiveness of God. And I said, don't worry about that anyway, if that's the case, that real believers, not atheists, because the argument was over atheists. The argument was not about Mormons. Real believers, not atheists, was going to vote against him anyway, because I don't think Romney will win.
All right,
but I think what is interesting here is I think now Mr. Romney, since I didn't bring this up, Hitchens did, has opened the door for me to say, well, wait a minute. Is Hitchens right? Is this the history of the Mormons? And were you part of that history? Were you a part of this church before they renounced this? I think that if we have seen, even on this show, people raise questions to Senator Obama about his pastor and his sermons, nothing near like this about separating sons of Ham. If we've seen people raise questions about whether Mr. Giuliani's practiced his faith, how does it become bigotry if one was a member of a church who, according to this scholar, the tenets of the church was based on racism?
Prior to 1965, when blacks were considered, well, our research is using a different date, but prior to that date, when blacks were finally considered as equals within the church, did you find that Mormon church racist?
I think that that's by self-definition. If prior to 65, 78, whenever it was, they did not see blacks as equal, I do not believe that as real worshippers of God, because I do not believe God distinguishes between people. That's not bigotry. That's responding to their bigotry. And I think Mr. Romney, since he brought this up, I didn't call him a name, he called me one, needs to answer, did he prior to 65 ascribe to that? I think he's brought in a very interesting discussion here that he needs to answer.
Can we revisit your words once again? Because you very carefully use the words real believers and believers. Let's listen one more time to what you had to say.
As for the one Mormon running for office, those that really believe in God will defeat him anyway. So don't worry about that. That's a temporary situation.
All right, I just spoke with Christopher Hitchens, who happened to be in the hallway upstairs before he went on the air, and he said when you were saying those who really believe, he thinks you were making a distinction between Mormons and other Christians in somehow conveying that Mormons are lesser Christians?
I was answering what he said. He's the one that attacked Mormons. If you just played it.
Right.
I didn't attack Mormons. Based on what he said, clearly I do not believe that anyone that really believes in God would have at any point believed that blacks were less than every other human being.
All right,
and
but
may I finish?
Yeah, well, but
and what I said was, I didn't even say really believe, I said really believe in God. Because I don't believe you can really believe in God if you think God created some inferior to others. I believe that. And as a minister, I have a right to advocate that. That's not bigotry. That is really saying I don't believe God is a bigot.
So you deny what Hitchens is saying when he thinks you were making distinctions and
well,
somehow suggesting that Mormons weren't real
Why didn't Hitchens
Christians?
challenge that night if he felt that?
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about
you
you
brought
right
him
now.
up. Hitchens, I'm telling you what I meant, and I'm telling you what I said. I'm also telling you what Hitchens said. Hitchens, according to what you just played, attacked the Mormons. Hitchens did. It's strange that Romney didn't attack Hitchens. Hitchens is not attacking Romney. I'm the one that belonged to a race that couldn't join the Mormons, and I'm the one that's the bigot.
But
now, you talking about trying to pass the buck.
All right, but in
it would be funny if it wasn't so sad.
You are valuing Mormons' belief in God the way you were a Pentecostal or the way you would a Methodist or the way you would a Presbyterian.
If someone said that when I was running for president, that the religious group I was a part of was racist against another group, and somebody else said, well, if others that really believe in God, because I don't accept that as a belief in God, I would have to defend why I was a member of that group. Did I denounce that? Did I change? When did I change? I certainly couldn't turn around and call them a bigot for being a victim of what my denomination once perpetrated. I think the same way front page of the New York Times and others went at Obama and asked him questions about his pastor who never said anything like that. Now I have a responsibility to say, well, Governor Romney, were you a Mormon then when this was taught by the church? When did you denounce it? When did you change? I think that we've got to play the game by one set of rules, but calling me a bigot to raise questions about bigotry, I think that it would be laughable if it wasn't so serious and had been played out through this campaign.
Reverend Sharp, I've got to leave it there. Thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.